Suspended IAS officer Pradeep Sharma, who has now gone to the Supreme Court alleging that he was basically victimized because he had certain information about the girl who was being stalked, and her relationship with a top Gujarat politician, says that the surveillance tapes that have emerged confirm this, and therefore he's moved the Supreme Court to probe this surveillance which was conducted on him and on this girl in 2009. This is what has emerged from the tapes that were put out by the investigative portal Cobra Post and Gulel, which show or which suggest that Amit Shah, Gujarat Home Minister at that time, was talking to GL Singhal, who was in the crime branch, monitoring the movements of this girl and in fact of her family. So this is something that has emerged this afternoon, and also we have Pradeep Sharma saying that the justification supposedly offered by the girl's father, that in fact he had asked for the surveillance because he had a close family equation with Gujarat Chief Minister Narendra Modi, he says is not true, because he had introduced this girl to the Gujarat Chief Minister, and that's how that family connection evolved. So a strong rebuttal emerging there from Pradeep Sharma. But let's now continue to get reactions to this. I'm going across first to Jai Narayan Vyas, once again of the BJP. Now, Mr. Vyas, I just want to put this fact to you again, that are you now worried about this entire controversy now that Pradeep Sharma has brought it before the Supreme Court, and he says that, look, this confirms my theory all along that the charges against me of omission and commission were entirely baseless. I was only victimized because I had access to this sensitive information.
Well, Vasu, I think he has every right to feel what he believes. You know, nobody challenges his personal beliefs, but this is not necessarily that one should go by whatever he's saying as 10% the fact. On the contrary, I would say that the information which in itself has not been owned up by the people who have displayed it, you know, this further, I would say that it is endorsing kind of hypothesis that was being advanced earlier by the Gujarat, that there is some design by which there is an effort being made to drag into the higher-ups in the Gujarat public life into the controversy. And I think now, first the Cobra Post, then the discussion, and now Pradeep going ahead with this kind of
Mr. Vyas,
I think it augurs well. There is a well-orchestrated design, it appears, in all this thing that is going on.
Mr. Vyas, before you allege conspiracy, can I just point out to you, we also have Prashant Bhushan joining us. I'm going to go across to him in a second. He's the lawyer for Pradeep Sharma. But I'm just going to play to you what your own party president, Mr. Rajnath Singh, said over the weekend, where basically he seemed to suggest that what is wrong if a father writes to the Gujarat Chief Minister asking for protection for his daughter, which seems to be conceding that in fact this surveillance was carried out. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
जब यह टेप सीबीआई के पास था तो यह कोबरा पोस्ट के पास कैसे आ गया? संबंधित लड़की के पिता ने स्वयं ही पत्र लिखकर यह कहा, जब हमारी लड़की संकट के घड़ी में थी तो उस समय मैंने स्वयं गुजरात के मुख्यमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी से अनुरोध किया था, और नरेंद्र मोदी के साथ हमारे पारिवारिक रिश्ते हैं। मैं कांग्रेस के लोगों से अपील करना चाहता हूं कि कृपया, चाहे विधानसभा चुनाव हो अथवा लोकसभा चुनाव हो, उन्हें स्वस्थ माहौल में होने दीजिए। मर्यादाएं नहीं टूटनी चाहिए।
So Rajnath Singh, they're saying that the father of the girl said that he had a family relationship, a parivarik rishta with Narendra Modi, and that's why he wrote to her. Now, Prashant Bhushan, you heard Jai Narayan Vyas there saying that it's now a matter before the court, let the court go into it. But this is all a conspiracy that is being brought out to try and malign high-ranking officials of the Gujarat government, that there's no substance in these allegations. How would you respond?
See, whenever inconvenient facts surface about Mr. Modi or about the Gujarat government, the standard tactic of the BJP is to say that this is a Congress conspiracy, this is a CBI conspiracy, what is the timing, why now, etc. these questions are irrelevant. Assume that it is a Congress conspiracy. Assume that this is a CBI conspiracy. The fact is that the BJP has admitted that they carried out surveillance of this girl supposedly at the instructions of her father, and this was done at the instance of Mr. Narendra Modi. Now, they have therefore tacitly admitted the contents of all these taped conversations between Amit Shah and this anti-terrorism squad officer Singhal, police officer Singhal.
Can I just get Prashant?
Anybody who listens to all these conversations,
yes, I'll come to the conversations.
Listen to all the conversations.
I'll just come to the conversations in a second, but I just want to get Jainara and Vyas to react to that and to confirm whether, in the light of what you just heard Rajnath Singh say, Mr. Vyas, do you at least concede that the BJP is now accepting that in fact this girl was put under surveillance and that it was in fact Mr. Amit Shah who was monitoring it closely with the help of the Gujarat crime branch and the anti-terror squad?
Well, Vasu, thank you very much for coming back to me. I mean, there are two things I'd like to comment on. Number one, there is I would say that the party president, the BJP, is saying that if somebody knows the chief minister, there is nothing wrong in his or her asking for the protection of her or his kith and kin. I think that's perfectly in order. But that doesn't automatically validate the tape theory that is being discussed right now. You know, Prashant Bhushan, I have very high regards for him. He is a very brilliant counsel. But I think the kind of arguments he is making here, he should have reserved it for the court when his client's case plea comes up for the hearing before the Honorable Court of Law, because I'm confident he will meet with arguments which will be more relevant and more powerful than what he is trying to make out on this platform.
No.
So I think at this juncture, he is making out being a counsel of the person who is pleading this, who will be pleading this case. I think, I'm sure his views are obviously going to be biased in favor of his client, and therefore I refuse to accept his views as
but not his views
of somebody who is an expert of independent standing.
No, but not his views. You had the BJP president himself indicating that this is something which was done with a father's request to a chief minister. Yesterday, you had one of your own spokespersons on the show in which you participated on our channel, where she said that we can give you the proof that these surveillance actions were carried out legally. We have the proof for that. So where is the question now of the BJP distancing itself from this entire exercise?
Well, I think there are two parts. Number one, that this automatically doesn't validate this step entirely. You know, it is a matter of larger debate that what kind of surveillance was ordered and who was ordered to carry out that surveillance and under whose behest.
Okay,
and
let's play.
Let us not address those issues at this platform, because number of things which are there in the public domain may not be true, and number of things which are not in the public domain perhaps might have substantial value on this discussion. I think at this juncture, to come to any value judgment on this will be unfair.
You know, it's not a question of a value judgment, but the fact is that now you have this thing that the tapes are aired, the single tapes are aired. The BJP has not distanced itself from it. They're saying what's wrong if a father seeks help from a chief minister. Someone else from the BJP says we'll prove to you that this was legally carried out. But what is disturbing about it, you said, what is in this sting, the extent of it, which is so problematic? Let's actually play you some of the excerpts from the Cobra Post Gulel sting, which purportedly show Amit Shah talking to GL Singhal, and this is the bit where it appears that they're essentially doing a surveillance not just on this girl but also on Pradeep Sharma. Let's listen in.
આ સિંગલ શું છે સમાચાર? સર હવે ત્યાંથી હોટલમાંથી નીકળીને પાછા પ્રહલાદનગર તરફ જઈ રહ્યા છે. તમે પેલા એસપી ભાવનગર જોડે કેવું છે તમારે? સારું છે સર. પેલો કમિશનર એના ઘેર છે કે અહીંયા આવવા નીકળ્યું છે એટલું પૂછી લો ને જરા. સારું સર. મ્યુનિસિપલ કમિશનર. જી સર. પેલી બેન ક્યાં છે? એ સર અત્યારે અહીંયા નવરંગપુરા હેવમોર પાસે બેઠા છે લોકો. એ પેલાની જોડે જ છે? હા જી સર, એ છોકરા સાથે છે. તો મારે વણઝારા જેટલા દિવસ જ આને જેલમાં પૂરવાનો છે. જી જી સર, બિલકુલ સર.
Right. So here you've got a situation, Mr. Vyas, where essentially Amit Shah is saying that this person should be sent to jail if required for as long as Vanzara. This is the sort of discussion which is going on with GL Singhal. Now, this is what has made this entire exercise. This is not about the personal relations between any politician and anybody else. That's really not a matter of public debate. It's about the fact that this was the nature of the surveillance being conducted. Essentially, it appeared to fix this IAS officer because he knew too much than he should have.
Vasu, if they are so confident about the validity of these tapes that you are relying upon, why they have disowned? What is that disclaimer where they say that we are...
Sir, it's not a question of my confidence. We have put a disclaimer saying that we cannot validate these tapes, but at the same time, nobody from the BJP is also directly saying that these tapes are rubbish. They're saying that we had proof. We can produce proof that the surveillance was valid.
Something which is not validated, how can you rely upon that? No court of law would rely upon an evidence which is not validated.
So then are you saying, that these tapes, are you saying that this conversation is entirely fabricated, that this is not Amit Shah talking to GL Singhal? Are you categorically saying that?
I am not making any comments on that because the material which is not validated, which doesn't specify what kind of source it has been and the kind of specifications that has been laid out about the validity and whether they are adopted or otherwise. What business I have got to comment on them?